Hey there, everybody. In the new Famitsu Weekly, they had some Fire Emblem Three Houses information that came out about class changes and some general plot stuff. And by general plot stuff, I mean what you do, like right off the bat. So there aren't necessarily any spoilers in this that we don't already know about. It's just some assumptions have kind of been confirmed, I guess, for lack of better phrasing. So we're going to go over that right now, and I am super pumped because everything I saw was a very, very positive thing, assuming all the translations are correct. I just want to specify that as well, because sometimes... So, right off the bat, we find out that we have to choose a house to lead as a teacher in one form of Byleth or another. This wasn't really a shock. I think everybody kind of assumed that that's what would be happening and what we'd be doing. But it's at least confirmed that we have to choose one house. We don't really get to interact with the other house, I guess, and we don't really know what happens to the other houses. So you pick one and then you move on. So I think ultimately that gives replayability a lot more value, because instantly, before you class out any other characters that come up in different ways, which it looks like it's going to be very customizable, you instantly get like 3 different playthroughs right from the get-go, which is awesome. So you have to pick a house playthrough basically towards the very beginning. So it's also worth noting that based on the house you choose, you're going to get specific characters that are geared towards more specific arts, right? So you've got Dimitri. His crew is all better with lances, basically. They have a higher spear skill category, I guess. And then you've got Cloud, who... Claude is a hunter type. They tend to be better with bows, and also the characters inside Cloud's house are also more towards the commoner class. I'll talk about that in just a second. And then of course we have Edelgard, who Edelgard's house basically prefers magic type classes over fighting type classes or weapon oriented classes. So maybe think about that when you're going through to choose. We have Sothis. So Sothis, she doesn't remember who she is. That's I guess the basics. We have no idea why she's talking to Byleth or anything like that. Like that, I assume, is going to be a big plot point that we'll discover at some point during the game. But the basic thing to remember is, she doesn't really have a whole lot of memory. She communicates with Byleth through telepathy, which again is something that we kind of assumed based on the stuff that we had seen so far. And additionally, which this is cool, do you guys remember this scene? This scene was kind of weird because we had like this strange sort of freeze frame and then a flashback and then like a correction where Byleth fights off the brigand, right? So it was confirmed that Sothis actually has the ability to rewind turns or time, as it were. So it's basically the same mechanic as what was introduced in Shadows of Valentia, which is super, super awesome. I love the fact that even on a casual playthrough, right? Like, if you're trying to do something risky and like level up a unit accidentally, or it's a turn didn't go the way that you thought it might, it's nice to have that so you don't have to replay the whole thing. And overall, it just makes it a little less frustrating, which I think is a benefit to anybody at any skill level. So I'm very happy for this edition. And then finally, we got a little bit more information on class changes, which I know a lot of people were kind of speculating what's going to happen with class changes. I don't know. Class changes are basically customizable. You can assign certain skills, and then that kind of helps you get into specific classes. So everybody's going to start student-wise as either a noble or a commoner. And for that reference, just think of like the villager class from Valentia. They basically have the same stat line, but you're either common or noble. when you come to this place. And as I said earlier, Claude's house has more commoners, so that kind of makes sense given where he's from. Additionally, you won't have to start at level 1 when you go back to a class that you've already done. If that makes sense. So you can class change basically whenever, to my knowledge. You may have to hit certain, points before going back to a certain class. But it looks like you can switch classes relatively pretty freely, and the classes that you've already acquired, you don't have to start back at level 1. You can keep your current level or whatever and go back into that class. I don't believe, this is just me speculating, I don't believe that's going to apply to new classes. I think when you reclass to a brand new class, you're probably going to start back off at level 1. But again, in the trailer, we saw Byleth like assigning homework almost, which are basically, they look like skill attributes to me. So in order to get to a certain class, you have to have such and such skill attributes in order to get there. And so I feel like once you've acquired that knowledge, you don't lose it, you just, get to go back into that class. So for what that's worth, I think that's really cool. You get to start off as Myrmidon, which is the sword class, the soldier, which is the spear class, the hunter, or the warrior, sorry, I keep thinking hunter, it's not hunter, the warrior, which is an axe bow user, or a monk who uses magic. So I think you can kind of get a relatively solid retrospect based on those houses. I feel like the monks are primarily going to be in Edelgard's, warriors probably more towards Cloud, and Myrmidon's soldier more maybe Dimitri's house. But again, they are intermixed. I don't think it's like one over the other. Otherwise, you get bopped pretty easy based on the enemy that you're going up against. So there is going to be intermixing, but each house kind of has a specialty, and I think the general classes there you can kind of get a better idea for. But again, you can reclass into anything. So again, the replayability in this game is so high that I'm very much looking forward to it. Everything that I saw gives me a lot of hope and alleviates a lot of anxiety based on what I thought was going to happen with this game. So overall, I'm a fan. I'm loving it, and it's a good thing. I think this is going to be a fantastic game, and I'm very, very much looking forward to it. I can't wait. It's out very soon, less than 100 days from now, in fact. So it's coming up. It's coming up. Hopefully, we'll get to see a little bit more during E3. But yeah, that's what we've got for now. Thank you, Famitsu. I appreciate you. But that's it. That's all I got. There's nothing else to really talk about right now. But feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. I covered a lot of Fire Emblem Heroes and general Nintendo stuff on the cuff like this every once in a while. But that's it for now. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.